Hi, ever wonder what it's like to work another profession or live in the underworld? Listen to unsuspecting riders give a 10 to 15 minute personal masterclass as I spontaneously interview them as they enter my taxi. I'm your host, Simon Rushton, and this is Taxi Chronicles. Morning. Yes, we're back with another episode, another rider. Today we've got a lovely lady and we've been talking about being a parent to children who aren't yours, and also we've been talking about cancer. So we're just going to let the conversation flow, and it's very interesting, very informative. It's mainly about sharing your gift. So I want you to take from this episode, just for if you know somebody who's going through something or been through something, maybe you share and they can learn and help them. So nice to have you here today, Sally.
Thank you.
Okay, so you were saying that you were going through cancer.
Yeah, and I was actually thinking about the fallout from it, or what you gain from it. And I guess sometimes people would say to me, oh, this could be the best thing, or it's a wake up, or it's a gift. And I don't think that it was a gift. I wish that it hadn't happened, because it's taken a lot and it's traumatizing. But there's something that comes with it, and what comes with it for me is the privilege of being able to help other women go through their treatment as well. And I really do think it's a privilege. It's not a gift that's come from it, but out of that, what I went through, I can share with them to help them get through their own sort of trials.
So I take it it's like a common cancer that ladies get, right?
Yeah, so it's breast cancer.
Okay. And so let's just go through in stages. When you were first told, how was the initial shock? How was it?
I was in complete shock. So I found it's very important. This is actually very important, so I'm going to say it because I think everyone listening, male or female, if you're a woman, they should check their breasts, and if it's a man, they should check their partner's breasts.
Okay.
But I found a lump and I went to the doctor very quickly, and then when I went to see, I was referred to a surgeon very quickly, and when I went to have the biopsy, it looked like a very regular lump. It felt very smooth, so they said, don't worry, it's probably fine. And so 2 days later, when I went back and I was told that actually it wasn't fine, it was cancer, and quite a serious kind of breast cancer, I was in complete shock.
Okay. So it's a new subject to me. So, and as a man, it's not anything I really have to deal with in life. So you get told, you go into some shock. What was the first thing you did? You called your partner, your family?
So I was with my parents. I didn't have a partner at the time. And I've been talking about my boyfriend a bit before, but I was with my parents, and so they were with me at the moment I got diagnosed. And then we called my sister. My sister actually came to meet us at the hospital. I think I went into a cubicle in the loos and just cried a bit, or maybe I was sick, I don't know. And then from that point, actually, I was just carried along through the whole thing. So what happens after I found out that I was diagnosed is I had to have an MRI to find out whether it had spread anywhere. And that happened, I got diagnosed on a Friday. So they said, why don't you not do the MRI today? Because you won't get the results anyway, just rest. So I went for the MRI on Monday, and then on the Wednesday I found out that it hadn't spread anywhere, which was really good news. And then from that point, everything sort of takes over. So we planned to have an operation to take the cancer out of my breast. So I had a lumpectomy. In the gap in between my operation and starting chemotherapy, we had about 10 days, and in those 10 days we tried to do some egg freezing, because chemotherapy can affect, if you're a woman, it affects your fertility. So froze some eggs in that very small gap we had, and then started chemotherapy 10 days later. We had to wait 10 days just to make sure my scars were healed and I wasn't going to get an infection in the cuts, from having my lumpectomy before I started chemotherapy. Okay. And then you just get caught up, I'm projecting, I was just in a sort of cycle of chemotherapy.
Okay. So, what springs to mind for me? You said you found a lump,
Yeah.
but your health was okay.
Yeah.
So, and this may be naive, couldn't you have just gone on living life, and then if something happened, then you get it dealt with?
I don't. Women are increasingly educated and should be more. So breast cancer, lots of women will get breast cancer in their life.
Yeah.
You particularly you'll get it as you get older, because there are kinds of breast cancer that are caused by hormones, and when you're a woman, your hormones fluctuate. So estrogen and progesterone. So lots of older women will get breast cancer, and that cancer grows very slowly. And it's easy to treat. You don't have to have chemotherapy. You might have an operation to get rid of the tumour or to get rid of your whole breast. And you might have some radiation therapy, which is...
Lose your breast?
Yes. Did you not know that?
Okay.
Yeah, you can do, which is traumatising in itself.
I've never met a woman with one breast.
Well, you might not know that she has one breast. Have you asked?
No, I suppose it's not anything. I think maybe she's got, like they have wonder bras and
Yeah.
things. Maybe she's disguising it. Women disguise things very well.
Yeah, so there's,
Yeah, okay.
So yeah, you might lose your breast when you have breast cancer, which is the kind of thing you would want to disguise, because it's wrapped up in your feminine identity.
Yeah.
All of these
Men
different.
judge you by it as well.
Potentially, I don't know if they.
Well, you look at a woman, and every time you look at a woman, you make a decision. Let's say. And part of that decision is based on what you see.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
But anyway, tell your story. I'll get myself in trouble.
Yeah, I know. I was just saying, you look at a woman and make a decision based on.
Well,
we all do.
Your partner, other men won't talk because they're too scared. But
No. Of course, we all do, and it's hard. It's a big bit of what is deemed attractive about a woman, or how you associate with that, and it can feel, particularly if you have a mastectomy, very mutilating. Yeah. I had a lumpectomy, so I have a small scar.
Mm-hmm.
I think I still would tell women to, if they find a lump, check your breast. You've got to better check your breast, and if you find a lump, you don't carry on, because breast cancer can be very treatable, but it is more treatable the earlier you find it. So you have a much better chance of surviving, even if you have to have lots of chemotherapy like me, a much better chance of surviving if, as soon as you find a lump, you go and see your doctor.
How long did this chemotherapy go on for?
So I had 2 kinds of chemotherapy. The thing I'd say for anyone who's listening and is going to have chemo or is worried about it, that I was petrified. I imagined myself bald,
Yeah, you got
clutching.
hair. You got a lot.
No, I lost a lot of hair, but I imagined myself bald, clutching a toilet, about to be sick, emaciated. And what actually happened was I put on loads of weight, because they're very good now at making sure that you don't get sick from chemo, and they give you lots of steroids, but actually that makes you really hungry and quite swollen. So I thought there'd be an upside of being ill, that I would get to my goal weight, and actually I put on loads, but that in itself is a blessing. But yeah, I had 2 kinds of chemo. So I had one kind that I had every 3 weeks. It's called AC, and it's called EC. I had one called EC. You have it every 3 weeks, and the reason why you have it every 3 weeks is just so that you can recover. It just takes a little while, and I think when I say recover, there would be a few days where I would feel very fatigued, where I really couldn't. It would surprise me, but as long as I didn't try to do anything, I was okay. And I did that for 12 weeks, so I had 4 of those, and I worked all the way through it. I went to work 3 days a week, and then I had a chemotherapy called Taxol, which you have every week for 12 weeks. And that was, I didn't get the tiredness that I got in EC, that I would get this dip in at one point in the 3-week recovery, but it's a bit of a marathon, that one. So it's a bit of a sprint, having chemotherapy every week, but it would roll around. But I guess at this point, if anyone's listening and they're really scared about having chemotherapy, it is manageable. It's not nice, but it's manageable, and that is something that I didn't understand until I had to do it, because I was so afraid, and everything I'd seen told me otherwise. Like I said, it wasn't pleasant, but it was dealable.
Did they put you on to support groups and stuff like that?
Do you know what? There are lots of support groups out there. At that point in time, I had all my family and friends around me, and I didn't want to hang out with a load of other cancer women, like in a support group. Just wasn't for me. But what I had, which is, you know, where I think that this privilege comes from of helping other women, is there were a few women who I got put in touch with who had gone through something similar, and they helped, you know, they lit the way for me. And so rather than being in a support group, there were people I could call on for support.
Yeah, it's probably better having one-on-one, and especially if you don't have a relationship with them.
Yeah.
That it's like you can be more open within reason.
Yeah. I think it's actually also, it's within the treatment. So subsequently, I'm in like a women's circle, which I find incredibly helpful. Just being sort of, you lift each other up and learn from each other. And I find that incredibly helpful. Treatment, the year of treatment, really, I've never been more me. I've never been more resolved. I've never been stronger in a way, but that's because I was in survival mode.
Mm-hmm.
And so there wasn't necessarily the room to be contemplative about it or be in a group or anything like that, because actually I was so focused on having this treatment so that I could stay alive.
Mm-hmm.
And actually the harder bit, for me, but I think for lots of people, comes in the fallout, because my mind was very clear when I was in treatment because I had to survive, and then afterwards I had to process it. And I tried, I think, not to. I thought maybe I can just get on with my life, and actually, you know, the wheels came off eventually. I had to sit in the bad feeling.
Yeah.
That's a big bit of healing in life, I think.
Yeah. So 3 last questions. We're coming to the end of the journey. First one is, from when you were told you had cancer until when you're fully fit again or functional again, how long was that, would you say?
It's hard to say. I feel really good in myself now. This is 4 years on. I'd probably say from finishing treatment and then going into radiotherapy, from finishing chemo and going into radiotherapy, I felt way more energized and much improved. But look, healing's a really iterative process, right? You can't look day by day or week by week. I think you only sort of see in blocks of time. But I was back at work a few months later. I was seeing my friends and living my life. Had to build up my strength and my muscles and things like that. But pretty quickly, my hair, I lost a lot of hair, but it was all back again within a year, you know, at length, a nice length of it. And I don't know, still healing now, if I'm honest. I get moments when I think, God, I can't believe all that happened to me.
Okay, that's good. The second question is, what did you learn that you wish you knew when you had started from your experience?
What did I learn?
Yeah.
There's a personal thing for me. I never would have learned it if I hadn't had my experience, is that I am inherently a really positive person. Mm-hmm. And I didn't believe I was. I had a relationship with someone who had said that I was quite negative, and I had sort of believed that, and then I actually realised throughout most of my treatment, and I wouldn't have learnt it if it hadn't happened, mm-hmm. that I'm stronger than I think I am, and that I'm more positive than I knew, and that I could carry myself through it. And then the other thing that I knew this anyway, but it demonstrated for me, is the abundance I have in my life of people. And that really is what matters, mm-hmm. I think. Like, and I'm not talking about numbers of friends, I'm talking about the richness of the relationships that you have with people. Mm-hmm. And I knew that I was blessed before, but I really felt it, you know, after.
Okay. And the last question is, what's the impact you want to have on the world?
Oh, wow, I've thought about this a lot.
Okay, that's good.
I don't know the answer. I was searching for meaning and purpose. I'm not sure, but I think any way of making people feel less alone, which is why this conversation is a really good one. And I don't know, like, I like helping brilliant people be more brilliant. I think everyone has got, you said that everyone's gift is their life experience. Mm-hmm. I think people have lots of, I think that's what I call true wisdom, is that you only gain it. It's hard won, right? But I think everyone probably has sparks of brilliance in them. And what I've noticed that I get most of a kick out of, whether at work or just helping my friends, is helping that brilliance come out for people, helping them see it in a way that they haven't seen it before.
Okay.
But I'm not sure completely.
Well, thanks a lot for that. It was really good. If anybody wants to, they're going through this, obviously you've done this anonymous, where would you suggest that you've got any websites or stuff that groups that they can...
Do you know what? There are lots of resources. So on Macmillan, and there'll be breast cancer care ones. You should speak to your cancer nurses. If you're really going through something and you're in the midst of it, your nurses are the most amazing resource for you. Speak to them. There's also some really good kind of like Instagram people or podcasts out there. So there's like You, Me and the Big C, which is a podcast on the BBC. All of those kind of things might help. And the thing that I would say is, do not go on Google at any hour where it's not daylight, because at that point in time you're awake when you shouldn't be, and you're going to be looking for kind of stuff that proves every bad thing in your head versus all the possible good ones. So my advice is to actually stay off of Google and Googling cancer in the witching hours.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot for that. That interview is much appreciated, and we wish you well. We hope you liked that interview. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to get the latest daily episode. Ever considered investing in the continent with the fastest growing economy and population on Earth? The same continent that holds 30% of the world's known natural resources? Then listen to our sister podcast, Africa Investor Stories, where you will hear real investors with real stories from around the world share their experience of investing in Africa. We post Monday and Thursday at 10 a.m.